Yeah.
And he swings it at the goon. The goon ducks.
We both thought he ducked and missed the hit because he falls way too early.
So he does.
Yeah. So cut to another scene where Dom and Brian are tied up. And they're being held hostage, right?
Yes.
And the goons are all there. And this is where we're first introduced to Reyes. Reyes is the main bad guy in this movie.
The main bad guy in the movie. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes the bad guy.
Yep.
Hernan Reyes. This is his name.
Hernan Reyes.
Yep. And he comes in and he's, talking all soft to them, whispering in their ears. But pretty much he's like, you guys caused a lot of trouble today. They're like, yep. It was like, you know what? All I want is the car.
I want is all I care about.
Yeah. That's all I care about. And then I'll let you go. And then Brian's like, though that the plastic on the ground under our feet while we're hanging from chains from our hands tells us that you're a liar. Liar, pants on fire. I don't think you're gonna let us go. And,
right.
And he's like, he doesn't care about getting an answer because he's like, tell me what the car is. Doesn't even ask twice. He just, we'll find it. Your girl can't hide from us. So he takes off, and he takes off in two.
Yeah,
this guy's rich.
He says his speech, and then he just leaves.
Yeah. He has two. He leaves in two not him, but he's in a VW. Like the two cars that he leaves in. Yeah. Are VWs. I don't know what kind. Maybe they're very expensive. Are those very expensive VWs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's funny that he came down all that way just to say that speech and then to leave.
And then he bounced. He needed to let them know what he was looking for.
So funny because right. That was very considerate of him. So after he leaves, the two goons come to dispatch of Brian and Dom. And Dom, he just goes like this.
Yeah. Rip. Boom. He rips the chains. He's one strong bugger.
Like, dude. Yeah, he is. So, they dispatch of the goons.
Yep.
And that was it. It was kind of an unnecessary scene. There was no kiss my shoe, Ted, nothing like that. And it was a necessary scene, I guess. But it cuts to more news. Mia's watching the news. Tell her about her brother and Brian now being wanted for the murder of DEA agents and all of these guys, right?
Yeah.
Destroying a train.
Yeah.
And Brian and Dom show up.
Yep. And she hears something, and so she grabs a pipe. I think it's a pipe. I thought it was a shotgun, but then I think it was a pipe afterwards. But because she doesn't know it's them. But then she hears Brian, and she's like, "Oh, yay, you're here!" And then she sees Dom, and Dom's like a.
That's a very good Mia impersonation.
And I've been practicing in the mirror. You did pretty good, I think. But again, Brian comes in like a thug to hug Mia, and then when she goes to hug Dom, she has the pipe. And he's very impressed because he grabs a pipe. Is like a true Toretto, coming with a pipe.
Right.
Because that's what Torettos do. But they asked where Vince is.
And they're all like, "Where's Vince?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very suspicious now of Vince. Like, where's Vince at?
I was suspicious of Vince. I was like,
I know.
Dude, this was Vince's job. What's going on?
Where is he at? But
they forget about Vince really quickly. Yeah,
they do,
and they have the car there. So, car that Mia stole, and they're like, "What was in this car that was so valuable?" Then what happens?
Well, so he's like Batman, right? He's the Dark Knight. He figures out he's like there's something in this car, and so that was it for this scene, right? They didn't do it. They didn't find anything there. I think the next scene cuts to the next scene already, right?
He says that one thing for sure is they wanted this car. What's in it?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So and he's holding a crowbar, so they know he's gonna go in.
I thought he was just gonna rip into the car with the crowbar.
I know.
I thought he was just gonna start hammering the car with the crowbar. But Brian says something that's so funny too. You're just
what does he say?
The feds, they're gonna send their
oh yes,
best in.
They're gonna send their best.
Like,
oh my goodness!
Brian did the same thing.
Yeah,
waiting for that intro music, that WWF intro music.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Finally,
so okay, so it cuts to an airport, an undisclosed airport, and you see a plane landing, and then you hear, "Do you smell?"
I literally wrote that in my notes. I wrote plane shows up and it says, "If you smell what the fuck is cooking." Thunderwear is the next line.
Thunderwear is. So
Sorry,
we get Luke Hobbs. We get Luke Hobbs. Luke Hobbs, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Chihu.
Yeah.
We got a Samoan.
And he is Chihu.
Yes, he is.
And he is rocking this goatee, man.
He is. He is. And did you
I
notice?
don't know. I mean, we just saw
different lengths throughout the movie.
I don't remember if he had the goatee. No.
Did you notice throughout the movie the goatees are different lengths?
Well, I don't know if you know, but that's a real thing, you know.
Oh, okay. So
when I wake up in the morning, it's a different length. And then around lunchtime, it gets a little longer, and then in the afternoon,
I thought it was like the trolls.
Off, and then
I thought like you can control it, like trolls can control their hair.
Does this not look like a troll?
Well, you're disappearing into Blockbuster, but yes. There you go. Yes, right. That is a troll.
It's so impressive.
Yeah, it is. But he shows up and he's a boss, man. He got his lines down in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like he just comes out and just starts firing at all cylinders. He's the Rock, like, and he's sweating. I think
he's already sweating when he gets off this plane. He's wearing this non-breathable Under Armour shirt the whole movie, and he is just sweating. This, I mean, the island humidity. It's hot. The heat is on in Rio. Yeah. So as soon as he got off the plane, I was like, "Well, G.I. Joe is here," and he said this one line.
Yeah.
Because wasn't he in G.I. Joe? He was, right?
He was. Yep.
He was Duke.
I don't. Oh yes.
It was Duke. He was Duke.
Channing Tatum.
Oh, Channing Tatum was.
Oh yeah, Channing Tatum was Duke.
Was he Sergeant Slaughter?
He might as well have been Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can he do that? Because he was a wrestler too. Like, is that bad for wrestling business to be mistaken by somebody else?
You don't tell The Rock what to do.
That's true.
You don't. You do what you like.
The Rock wants to be Sergeant Slaughter. The Rock's going to be Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah. This is true. Yeah. This is true.
So he says this one line. He's just like, "Don't ever let them get into cars."
Yes.
Yeah. So
I wanted one of his men to be like, "Why? What happens?"
I know he makes them sound so dangerous and like really good criminals.
Well, the brief was these guys are professional runners. I think they live for speed, right? And they go down the hardest way possible. That is the brief.
It would have been funny if the brief was just like, these guys are the worst of the worst. They're known for taking over $6 million+
VCR combos from 2001.
Right.
And
I've heard about those guys.
And so he gives the brief and how dangerous they are, and they shouldn't get in. That's the number one rule. They shouldn't get into cars. You say,
it's
boys,
like Gremlins.
You better make sure you have your underwear on, and t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
T-shirt and
underwear.
I like how the special forces guys, they're not just like, we shoot guns all day. I mean, these guys still TV, VCR combos, and gas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna be okay. Yeah,
I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah.
And then he's talking to the local no crust.
The
local police officer,
Policia.
and he's just like, let me know. Oh, excuse me, Policia. Let me know if you're gonna need any help. And he goes, I'm gonna need a translator. And this is a weird line to deliver. Yeah. And he calls out for this agent Neves.
Yeah.
Neves. And he said that he likes your smile.
Elena.
He's like, why her? She's just a patrol officer.
A patrol officer? He's like, I like her smile.
Okay.
Weird.
It was I know, right? Wasn't that weird? Like,
and he's like, he probably knew it was weird because the next line came really quickly. He's like, oh, that was awkward. And second, stay out of our way.
Frank out of my way.
Get the Frank out of my way. Yeah. So, I
felt like I missed some kind of like post-credit scene or something too with that one, because that was just a weird thing to bring up, right?
Yeah. So
apparently
he did his research on her and wants her. I guess we found that.
Very creeps.
Right? And then he's like, the crime scene is 10 hours old. Let's get going. He's like, there's a time frame, and it started now. Yeah.
Was he talking about the train?
Dude. Yeah,
the train. The crime scene.
We'll get there. I think it's the next time that we see The Rock. Like, I laughed so hard, dude. But that's the end of The Rock's first scene.
Wait, there's one more thing that happened there. It was the chief of police is like, why'd you bring all these guys down here? And this is where he sets it up right for the guy. He's like, let me tell you about these two guys. He's like, one of them is an ex-federal agent who's been undercover for 5 years and knows everywhere you're going to come from, every way that you're going to come from.
Right.
Are we talking about Brian here?
Brian O'Connor?
He knows every way you're going to come from?
Brian Earl Skillner?
Yeah. That Brian? And then he says that the other is a professional criminal who escaped prison twice. Did he escape from the first prison?
Guess so.
I didn't know that.
He was only in there for 3 years.
2 years. The other one did 3.
2 years.
Right?
2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
The Rock said he escaped.
But yeah, we don't argue with The Rock. But he spent half his life running and getting away from cops like this police chief. So
The Rock might have been mistaken, but
we never tell him that to his face.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was the end. And then next scene.
Yeah, so it cuts back to Dom and Brian taking the car that Mia stole apart, and it's so funny because so at this point Vince shows up, right? And it's just like, well, look who decided to show up. And Vince is just like, I had to wait him out. Cops were everywhere.
Yep.
And Brian and Vince get into this fight that mirrors the first movie fight.
That is what I have too.
Did you get that? Yeah. And it's
Yes.
so funny because this time Dom has to pull Brian off.
Yeah.
And what does he say? He
says,
"Enough, O'Connor," which is basically,
now I'm in your face.
It's so funny, man. It's so funny.
I love when Vin Diesel says that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one? The first one?
No, I'm in your face.
Yeah. He pretty much is like, now I'm in your face. No. He's like, take a walk, Brian.
Back again. Yeah.
Walk it off, Brian.
Brian.
Go.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, so once again,
so that
Dom, the Godfather, taking care of business.
Yeah. And then I think that was the end of that scene. It was
that was it.
Short. That was it, right? Like,
and then they cut to Reyes,
the bad guy.
The bad guy's office, Reyes' office, his main office, and he's talking to a couple business guys. He's like, I'd love to do business in your country. But he's like, let me tell you a story. That's when he goes into the story about the Spanish versus Portuguese. Right. The Spanish tried to come in and use violence, right? They tried to fight the local tribes or whatever, and the natives. And the natives, I guess, killed all the Spanish there, right? But the Portuguese, he's like, I like the way the Portuguese did it. They brought gifts for the natives, and they gave them like scissors were one of the gifts that they gave, like all this good stuff.
I was just saying,
Needle-nose pliers.
Pliers in your hands.
That's in case things get a little...
Because it's 9
Taking
o'clock.
apart cars, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
He needs that to get the chip out.
Fixing my phone, yeah.
Which we don't find out about yet. Sorry. Okay, but yeah, so they give gifts and then they make him work for them to keep getting the gifts, and so that's what he does in the favelas, right? He goes into the favelas. Is that I did not say that right? Probably.
Oh,
no, I think you did. I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so that's what he does there. He gives them electricity and running water and all this stuff, and then makes them work for him, and he owns them, right? Yep. And then I think Zizzy comes in, right?
Zizzy comes in, yeah, and he's like, Mr. Reyes, we found them, right?
Yeah.
And then it makes you think like even more. It's just like, oh snap, Vince, right? Because we just saw Vince show up and see Brian and Dom them.
Yeah.
So it cuts back to Vince.
Yes.
And he's looking through the car that's been taken apart, and there's this car stereo. It looks like it's a 7-inch LCD DVD deck, and he just reaches behind it and just pulls this chip out. And he's just like, yes. And Dom, ever in the shadows, he doesn't sleep. That's why he's Batman.
Yeah.
He just like steps out of the shadows. He's just like, I wish I didn't see that, Vince. Okay. So did you think about when he came out of the shadows for Brian?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when they found him in the warehouse.
And so this is swap now, because that's when that was the "Oh, got you, Brian" in the first one, and now he's coming out of the shadows saying, "Oh, I got you, Vince." Right?
Yep. So, I was fully expecting him to like go for a drive after and go find Johnny Tran and Rio.
They kiss my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So Dom's just basically telling him to get out, and Vince is just like, look at what the Buster did to our family.
Yeah.
You're on the run.
The Buster brought me back here.
Yeah, man. And by this time, I'm still riding the wave of this movie storyline, so I'm just like, I don't believe you, Vince.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And, I didn't either. Actually, I didn't even think about it.
I still don't.
Yeah. And we'll never know.
Yeah.
But he denies it. He wants to take the chip back to Reyes, right? Smooth things over. Yeah. But Dom's not having it. That's when he's like, get out and stuff. And then Vince, he's complaining. He's like, how, you never trust me. I always trust the Buster. And look at this. I can't go home. Mia's in this now. And then he's like, what about Letty? Where's Letty?
And then I thought he was going to get
brave. I thought he was going to there too.
I thought Dom was going to do a little more than what he did.
But Dom was like, you're right. And he just turns back on him. He turns his back on Vince, and Vince leaves. Yeah. And then that was that scene.
Yeah. So that's the end of that scene, and this is one of my favorite scenes coming up. Just like having The Rock speaking, it's like it's always gold. It starts off with The Rock entering a dark room with a flashlight, and my notes are just like, The Rock is using a flashlight, and I'm just like, I could watch The Rock use a flashlight for 2 hours. Like, it's The Rock. Yeah. And it's so funny because this guy, he's like using his flashlight in the dark, and he's just like, they use plasma cutters, and he just starts like barking orders. I need blah 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 for the 50 miles radius that sell this kind of
the compressor tanks.
Dude, the lines that were coming out of him were so funny. Because is this the part when he's like having them scan the cameras and all that stuff? He was just saying all kinds of acronyms. Or does that happen later on? I think it's after the Avengers arrive.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think that's.
It's not yet. It's not yet because that part was so funny to me.
But was it Officer Neves shows up, right?
Oh yeah,
that's when Officer Neves shows up.
Yeah,
and he's The Rock is like, you don't like her?
I don't.
Okay.
From the first time she shows up, I'm just like, I don't know what it is.
Was it her smile?
You did not like her smile. God.
It was your smile.
Oh, very good, Shanna. I just got it. I just didn't know. I didn't know she knew what her motivation was in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it was just weird.
She was kind of a confusing tie-in.
She was.
I could see that. Yeah.
She was.
I didn't pay her too much attention. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, she was kind of just like not a necessary.
I didn't. Whenever. Yeah, her storyline was just weird. She was motivated. That's why. The Rock picked her, right? Because her husband was gunned down, and I was like, is he trying to be the rebound here? Like, I really got that vibe. I got that vibe that, you know.
Right? Because he liked her smile, and now he's like, you're single. So
I hear you're single.
He's just like, I'm only going to be here for 72 hours. Like,
and also because,
this is a way that I can meet somebody.
And she did hear that he liked her smile. He's like,
this relationship is fast and furious.
Not that good.
And
she said something like that.
Yeah. When she comes, she's like, why did you want me? My smile's not that great. And then that's when he's like, well, your husband was gunned down, and 6 months later you joined the force, and
right.
It's like
so you're motivated.
What is that
and
Untouchables. He needed an untouchable.
He needed an untouchable.
Right.
He needed an
I wanted him to like lean in, like, and be like, hey, what are your thoughts on goatees and just putting it out there. Good work. Good to have you on the team.
He also chose her because he felt like she wouldn't be bought. She couldn't be bought.
Right. Right.
Like, and then he asked, "Do you agree, or am I right?" And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Of course I'm right, because it doesn't matter."
Yep.
Yeah.
Am I right? It doesn't matter. But one of his Call of Duty guys walks up, and he's just like, hey, boss, wow, you learned the names, good job. He's just like,
Agent Chado.
He's like, we found two pairs of tracks, one set of tracks outside the train headed like east or something, and the other with 45 millimeter wheelbase. And he's spouting all the stats, and the Rock's just like, that's a GT40. I'm just like,
he's
well done.
Yeah.
So he must be a bit of a gearhead too. I just thought it was really funny that he just knew immediately.
Yeah.
Yep. He's like, that's the GT we're looking for.
Yep. So now it cuts back to Brian and Tom. Like, this is just a lot of like, they should have had a Zoom split screen like this. All of this stuff was happening at the same time.
Yeah. They should have, right?
Doesn't it jump back to
Wait, did we talk about the veggies though? That whole the way the Rock, so the guy comes up, he's like, good news or bad news, and he's like, I like my dessert first, right? And then that's when he says all that stuff.
Right.
They just give him all the one-liners.
Yeah.
Like
that does, yeah.
It's like, okay, this doesn't. Nobody else can say this. Let's let the Rock say it, because then it'll work. That's pretty much. It's like, we were gonna give this to Tyrese, but.
Yeah.
Hey, Rock, we got the writer that wrote the lines for Vince to just do all of your one-liners. Because a lot of those one-liners were just really exhaustive one-liners.
Yeah.
They were long-liners.
Yeah, long-liners.
They were long-liners. But, good for him memorizing everything and just really giving it all. Like, he had so much energy every time he said it.
He did. That's why he was sweating so much.
That's why he was sweating. He's like, oh God, what was it again? It was probably like take 42.
He was, I mean, he's got a full weight set on the side in between each shot. He's just like, first.
Actually, I think,
good.
As far as learning lines, he did it live, right, for wrestling? So I'm pretty sure he's good at
learning lines.
He's really good at ad-libbing.
Or maybe he's just ad-libbing all this. That's probably what's happening. They're probably like, we're going to cut this out. He's like, no, you're not. You're keeping that.
Did you hear what I said?
That's gold.
There's a 2-hour B-roll.
Oh my gosh, I want to see that.
Getting out of the plane and saying like one-liners.
Yeah.
That's the edited version. The director's cut.
You know, I like to husk my coconut before I drink the milk. That's not gonna work. Just keep going. Just keep. I got it. I just keep going.
So he gets his dessert, which is all the good news, and then the bad news is like, now give me the veggies. Which is they lost. They pretty much lost them. They don't know where it is.
They lost the tracks.
Yeah, but then Sergeant Neves, whatever her name, Neves jumps in as like, not exactly. I know exactly where they're going. It's like,
yeah, she's definitely showing her value immediately.
Yes. Yeah.
So she has some inside local scoop.
Yeah.
Yes.
That she knows where they're going.
Yes, that trail leads right to the favelas. Right?
Yeah, so, but I have to warn you, the trail is lined with preteen extras that are holding weapons. They don't have any lines, so it should be okay.
Twins. Yeah. But don't worry.
Yep.
Yeah, they will fold. So she says, I'm motivated. Yeah. That's why she knew. So that's when that's the raid on the favelas. That's when they cut to them driving through the shanty town.
Does it immediately jump to that part?
Sure,
I think.
But was there something else?
I think it shows Brian putting the chip back on the radio, and then
that's part of it, right?
Screen. It's happening at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, so they're driving in, and then it cuts to Brian them looking on the computer, and then what are they? Well, we find out what they're looking at then, right?
Basically, yeah. So basically, Reyes is so smart that he has his entire operation on a 7-inch touchscreen DVD player
in a car.
On a car that probably doesn't go on these routes, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no way the suspension on this car is handling the rough roads. So anyway, it shows the location of all these cash houses, and it's so funny because there's so much money that they have to weigh it, right? So he's like 49 kilos. You see all these weights here that we're seeing on the map. It's 49 kilos is $1 million in 20s. And I'm just like, 49 large? Still not sure. Kalani told me 49 large is $49 last night.
So this is actually only about 15 truckloads of TV VCR combos.
So they're just like, okay, well, each shipment is 10 million, and right, so each shipment is $10 million, and they're just like, wow, this is like 10 large, 100 large, 10 large, 10 small, and this is they're really like they're in the big leagues now in Rio.
Yeah. Yes.
And now is when The Rock pulls up in his Cybertruck, and he just like
an up-armored Cybertruck.
It's a total Cybertruck. He gets out, and all the goons look like babies. It's so funny. They're all standing there, and like The Rock shows up with SEAL Team 6, and he's there, and all he has to do is pull out his handgun. And I kid you not, I think I saw one of the guns that the kids were holding. It just went like this. It went like this.
He holds it out like this, like he shows it from his hip, like he doesn't even.
Yeah, he doesn't even lift it.
He just pulls it. Yeah,
pulls it out.
Have you seen Snatch?
That's
Frank?
it.
Have I seen
the movie Snatch?
The movie Snatch.
I have many years ago.
When he Bullet, right? The guy's name is Bullet.
I think, with his Desert Eagle.
The Desert Eagle .50.
I don't even remember.
Okay, go watch that part.
The goons, if you guys know, leave it in the comments. The goons pull out their replica gun, and he's like, "You got replica on yours. Mine says Desert Eagle .5. That's the gun you have. It looks like the gun you have.
You gotta watch it. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't the gun, but pretty much the scene.
So all the babies folded immediately, and everybody gets out of the way, right? So Reyes' whole network. I'm just looking at my notes here. Reyes' whole network's laid out on that chip. Yep, which is really smart thing to do.
It's his whole business is on this one chip.
Yeah,
no wonder he really wanted that back.
Yeah, and so the goons, they break in to where Brian is.
Yep.
and the car.
Zazu and his crew. So as they're looking at the computer screen, they hear a noise that tips them off, and then it's Zazu, ZZ on and his crew busting through the door, and they see Brian and Mia climbing out of the window, right? And they start shooting at them, and then I think that's when Dom jumps out of the shadows again. Yeah. He comes out of the shadows again and tackles Zazu or grabs the gun and starts shooting the other guys, and then the chase is on. Yeah, that's when the
chase is on. Yeah, they're parkouring through rooftops all the way down the side of this favela, and Dom is on foot on the ground while Mia, who is pregnant, is jumping through full extension. She is jumping and falling through rooftops, landing on her stomach. And she just gets up and continues. And Dom and I think The Rock at this point sees Dom running. Right. Yeah.
So as soon as he hears the gunshots, that's when they start taking off.
He goes off the other. Yeah.
Yep. And they start chasing. When Dom leaves and he starts running and jumping off roofs, that's when The Rock sees him and he starts pursuing. So they're getting chased by two.
It's a pretty awesome scene.
It's a cool scene.
And it gets to this one part where Zazu's goons, they're on the lower ground, and SEAL Team 6, Hobbs' crew, has the high ground, and they just straight up massacre these guys. Yeah. They go full clip,
on these guys.
On
these.
Different group of goons. You know how you on iTunes you can hit that little circular arrow with 10 on it, it'll jump 10 seconds forward or back.
Yes.
So I tap that, and it's still. Wow, this is a long scene. They're going just the whole clip, but that was a weird scene. And then The Rock continues to follow Dom.
Yeah, and then Dom is running through, right? He runs. Yeah. No, he runs and jumps off of a roof, and then here comes The Rock jumping out of a window.
Oh my God!
That
Hobbs
was a cool scene.
Out of a window, and then Dom in midair, because of his agileness, turns around and gives up. Oh no! It's The Rock.
He looks behind him.
Yeah, and hits the ground. He's like, I thought I smelled something cooking, and that's when
me.
and so they catch eyes, and they both land. They catch eyes. Dom takes off running, and The Rock pursues. And I think it cuts to Brian and Mia. He's doing. I think he took a Muay Thai class right before this movie, because he threw 3 knees in this movie, Muay Thai knees.
He did a rabbit punch too.
Yeah, he did a Superman punch, right? He just jumped
Superman
up
punch.
Yeah,
he's jumping from a top stair. That
was a pretty asking cool punch. Hey, I just learned this. Can I try this? Can I do this in the show? Yeah. But so they get away at that point, and then I think Dom runs into Neves. Neves catches Dom, right?
Dude, this is a weird scene. This is a really weird scene because one, this lady does not look prepared to overpower somebody of Dom's size.
Yeah.
But he drops down and he lands this close to her, and his lips are right next to her lips, and he's just wow. I mean,
you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Man, it was awkward.
Well, there was another scene before that where Dom jumps off a building. There's 2 goons there that he avoids, and then The Rock comes and tackles and beats them both up. And I think that's what holds up The Rock long enough for him to have this conversation with Neves.
And he says that weird line about they already know you're here.
Well, because what happened was, I watched this a couple times afterwards, but the goons come and start shooting at them. Dom saves her life, right, and pins her against the wall.
Oh yeah. That's when he's just like,
yes,
yeah.
He's breathing in her face, and then
in her mouth.
She tries to yell "Policia" at them. He's like, I'm the police. Don't shoot. And then Dom's like, they already know who you are.
Oh.
They don't care that you're the police. They're gonna shoot you anyway. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Is that the moment that he takes his $20 chain off and he puts it around her neck?
And then he does this thing.
He does this.
In every.
Where's my hand? And one finger at a time. He just closes it on her hand, and then he puts his hand on top. It would be so funny if he put his hand on top, and then he does like a magician, like.
It's gone.
And then open. Oh yeah.
What?
And then pulls it out of her ear.
Yeah.
And just like
out of the mouth. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. That's not the part that she gets to, but yes, that's. I think after that,
I don't remember.
It cuts to like he
Because
leaves.
she was in the scene. You just don't remember any scene that she was in.
So I think that's when SEAL
out.
Team 6 comes and saves them. Like, and as they're saving him, Dom gets away. Then I believe it cuts to the Brian and Mia scene where they come to a 50-foot cliff onto broken.
It's like at least 3 stories that they fall.
It's
right?
a significant drop.
Hey,
onto
good thing I don't know your Pregos.
So they fall out, and what Brian does is he like gets on Mia's back and he like starts to slip her down.
He's like, "Don't worry, Mia, I got this.
I've done this before.
I just did this yesterday. Don't worry about it. You weren't there, so pretend you're a car."
And then immediately they're gone. Like the goons show up immediately, look down through the broken roof, and they're like, "Oh, they're gone already," because
no one's gonna.
You're not gonna get hurt jumping from 3 stories through a roof. There's no way.
We don't know what's under the roof.
Yeah.
And the roof was just a bunch of broken tin roof.
I think it was. If you look really closely, it was a nail factory. It was just like a rusty.
They probably do not have their.
Yeah, there's no tetanus shots down there.
No.
in the nail factory.
Right.
But yeah, so they jump off, and then
this is when Toretto dropped his diamond-studded cross, right?
Oh yeah,
the same diamond-studded cross from the last movie and the movie before, right? So it's he had given it to Letty when he left her high and dry before she died. Yes. Spoiler alert if you didn't watch the last episode, but too bad. So Dom tells Brian and Mia they have to split up. Yeah. And then Mia's just like, but wait.
There's more. Yeah. She drops the bomb on them. And they both go thug on her.
Yeah, Brian's face was like
Brian's
just like
my shawty.
Yeah. About Brian, about Paul Walker's acting. I don't know if he got better at acting necessarily, but I think that this director just knows how to work with him better. He's like, you know what? You're good at awkward stares. Let's do that now.
Yeah, he just stared at her and that stare for a long time.
You know what? I agree. Because like in the first 2 movies, he was kind of directed to be like he was real Bill and Ted.
Yes.
A lot of like standing around like
that's exactly
like, dude,
what it was.
Whoa, dude, yeah. Yes.
Whoa.
Ed Peter Lucan.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah. There was. But yes, I think his acting got better, but this stare was a little awkward. But Dom, I think gave him some competition with the awkward stare right back. And but he crept up on her all thug-like, are you serious?
And then he gave him He gave him a tank top hug, both of them.
Yeah. So he's like, our family's growing, and he starts to cry, shed a tear. And
it would have been good if he went up to both of them just like he did to Neves. And he was just like, is this true? Is our family growing?
That would have been best.
That would have been best. Just, yeah.
This next scene, cut to the next scene. It's with Hobbs, and this is another classic Rock line. I feel what happens here. Mm-hmm. They are with the car now. They have now.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
You guys? Why were the cars on the train? I missed it. Why were
they were taken by the DEA? Right.
Oh, that's why the DEA were on the train.
They were, yes.
Oh.
That's so when Brian picked up the keys, he's like, he looks at the tags and he's like, oh, these have been taken by the DEA.
All seized. Yeah,
these have been seized. Oh. And that's the DEA were there transporting the cars.
Okay. Yeah. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I had to watch this film 13 times to figure that out.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so they're now where Dom and his crew had just left. They're with the car.
And so the car's in pieces, right?
In 100 pieces. And the first Neves is like, I don't think this adds up. These guys are like, they steal gasoline and then give it to the people. And like, I don't think these guys are bad guys, Why would they kill 3 agents? And then the Rock walks over, grabs a paper, and you know what? It doesn't matter what you think. He's like, these guys are names on paper, and we need to catch them. That's it. Nothing less, nothing more. That's what we got to do. And he turns to his crew, and he's like, well, put the car back together.
I like that one guy who looks up at him, and he's just like, what?
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know how to put a car together.
I was like, wait, is this part of their training to put cars back together? How do they know how to do this?
Yes, these guys.
They just get like a bag of pieces like Lego, and they're just like, ready, go.
They actually have the step-by-step guide with them with Lego pieces,
Yes,
highlighted, laid out. So that's their task. He's like, well, get to work. He's like, get to work. So I guess that's what they do.
You better hurry up. My goatee's not getting any longer.
See what part was missing.
So it cuts back to Dom and Brian now, and they're having a weird heart-to-heart, just like.
Yeah,
I feel like every one of these movies, there's a weird heart-to-heart, usually in front of a sunset or a balcony of some point.
Yeah,
but like,
there is.
It's not even mid-conversation. He's just like, "Hey, Dom, what do you remember about your father?"
Yeah, leave my father out of this.
Brian. Hey, Brian, why don't you just enjoy your drink? What?
Yeah.
So Dom's just like, well, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I remember everything about my father. He used to do homework with Mia every single night. And he would have barbecues. And he would invite everybody over on Sunday to eat barbecue.
He'd help Mia with her homework.
Yeah. Nothing about how Dom became a criminal. It's just like, well,
I had a great dad.
He's a great, I remember everything about him.
And then he immediately feels bad about everything he just said.
Because Brian's just like, I don't remember nothing about my dad. Brian's just like, yeah, me too.
I mean, kind of remember those things.
Went into a wall, $1.20. I remember that.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. So Brian's just like, I don't know nothing. And Dom's just like, come on, Brian. You can be a good dad. This is a weird conversation.
I didn't realize at this point that he was asking because he was about to be a father.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's because he's going to be a father. He wants, okay. That's why we're doing this backstory thing. Okay.
I didn't get until like afterwards too, right?
No.
And then that's when Brian's just like, segue, you can't keep running down. You got to get out. And Dom's just like, yep, I agree.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what he said after that.
One last job.
I was just like, yeah.
One last job again.
One last cry, Brian. That's all we need. And then
we need
to do this. And then we're out. Take all of Reyes's money and disappear forever.
Yeah.
And I like Brian's line. Brian's just like, he's reading off of the poster for the movie. He's just like, you want us to go up against the most powerful guy in Rio? Like, first of all, he's the only guy you know of in Rio.
Yeah.
There could be like,
there
could
lots
be
of guys.
50 Reyeses. You know what I mean? Like, you're just in his neighborhood. Right, yeah. So it's funny because he does the next segue. He's just like, we're going to need a team.
Yeah.
Wink.
Mm-hmm.
And then
which is an exciting line. Even though it's corny, it's an exciting line.
No, I got excited. I totally got excited.
I was like,
it was very...
Yes. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Yeah.
It was very Avengers.
It's like Ocean's 11.
This is exactly what I was about to say.
Was like
Ocean's 11 came
totally
to my mind.
Where's Brad?
Yeah.
Give me Brad.
Yeah.
Give me George.
It was
Matt.
it was totally Han is the Brad in this movie.
He is, and he's eating. He's eating. Yes, thank you, Frank.
I didn't realize that. Yes.
And he's like the cool guy. He's got that.
He is.
Clothes.
Yeah. Yep, he is.
So Dom's just like, we're gonna need a chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently Han is a chameleon because he blends in everywhere in Rio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Asians in Rio, so
I don't know. I
guess everywhere.
And then he says they need a fast talker, which is Rome.
Yeah.
They need somebody with circuits. Who knows the circuits? It's Tej. Utilities and weapons, which is Wonder Woman. But then he doesn't even name or what's the guy's name?
He's like, we need muscle. We need someone to punch a hole through a wall, right?
Yeah. And I was just
so,
like, what?
yeah, that's
it was them.
Tego and Rico. Yeah, I put the wall punchers.
My favorite line in this sequence is just like, and two precision drivers. And Brian's just like,
Eva Deuces almost.
It's like,
you, me. Yeah.
You're talking about us, right? You're talking about us.
That's us. That's you and me, right?
It would be so funny if it was Johnny Tran shows up with lights. He was like, we're here. He's like, you guys died in the first movie. Oh, plot twist, they're zombies.
I feel bad because they didn't mention Mia in all this. She was not part of the team.
It was like two precision drivers and one sister.
You're important too.
Yep. So everybody shows up at the same time on the same day, which is real good organizing and planning. It really is to get that many people together. It was, I mean, somebody organized the flight
at the same time.
Everybody shows up. Dom and Rome and Tej are the first ones to get there. Tej is played by Ludacris, as we all know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rome is Tyrese. The hole punchers, I forgot their name already, dude. And Wonder Woman shows up.
Yeah. Tego?
Federico.
And Rico.
Tego and Rico. Okay.
And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
I don't remember that.
And they go at each other, right? I think
so negative.
So first
I like those guys.
Tej, they're funny. Tej and Rome are going at each other. He's like, why are you driving Martin Luther King's car? And he's like, well, you got Rick James's jacket on. Right? Yeah. And then they're like, okay, we're friends. And then the other two come in and they're speaking
Han
Spanish.
Shows up. Wonder Woman.
Han shows up. Well, Han is just all cool in the background. He's like,
he's Brad Pitt. That's why.
What's going on?
He's already eating a shrimp cocktail.
He's already eating. Yeah. So, so they all meet, and then Dom shows up, right?
Mm-hmm. Dom shows up and Rome unnecessarily gives him stink eye.
Yeah.
Like him and Dom just have this weird moment.
He's like, I'm Brian's best friend.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Heard about He's you. Like, well, yeah. How's that shop that you guys opened up in Florida together at the end of 2 Fast and Furious? What happened with that? Nobody's talking about that. It's like
we're going to do a short about how that went out. Never came back.
Just with no talking and just like music montage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just Danny, Rome like writing a letter to Brian.
Right.
Where'd you go, dog? You said you were going to get some candy and you never came back.
No, they're actually Danny DeVito and and from Jumanji, the second Jumanji, where they had a restaurant together.
Talking about twins.
Yeah.
What do you mean twins?
No.
Oh my gosh.
And Danny Glover.
Danny Glover. Yep. Yeah.
And that's them in the future.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, you watch if you want. But we're talking about Fast.
If you haven't seen that movie, then
if you haven't noticed, this is a long podcast, and we talk about
whatever. For those of you who
want.
are just listening to the audio, I just shrugged. If you haven't seen the movie, then
if you're just listening to the audio, also go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Dude, we haven't even hit the halfway mark.
Oh my god.
I know. I keep looking up at the recording sign just to make sure it's still recording.
Oh man.
How much memory do I have in this MacBook? You can see it too?
I can't.
I didn't know that. Awesome. 2 eyes on it. 3 eyes on it.
Yep.
There it is.
So Dom tells them that there's this job. And Rome is real suspicious. She's like, this sounds like it's personal. And you know what? Personal ain't good business. And he walks off. And Dom's just like, it pays $100 million. And you're just like, just now when I said it ain't personal, I misspoke.
I don't care.
I don't care. $100 million. Yeah. Sure. Personal it up. Yeah. So he basically says that we have to do 10 heists at the same time.
Yeah.
And they have to hit these 10 cash houses, right? Yeah. So they're like, Han's just like, it's never going to work because as soon as you hit the first one, they're going to, ramp up all their security and everything for all the rest. Yeah. And Don's just like, we ain't stealing the money.
Yeah. He's like, we're counting on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dom is like, I'm counting on it. And then it cuts to them raiding a drug house. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's
a lot of underwear in this.
The underwear scene.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of underwear. Because in drug houses,
I used it in a sentence. Right.
Yes.
Yes. It naturally was
roll credits.
Yeah.
2 shakas. No. For fun to wear. So they go into this drug house. They get all the workers there into a pile. And they're like, one dude is like the main goon in this scene is like, do you know whose house this is? Do you know whose money that is? You can't hide from this guy. And Dom takes off his mask. He's like, we ain't hiding. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you gonna steal his money? And he pours gasolina on the money. He's like, we ain't stealing.
This guy's a bad guesser. He
should And so he burns the money. Mm-hmm. And he's like, tell him we're coming for the rest of it.
Yeah.
And all the guys pulled their masks off. That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see a close-up of everybody.
I mean, they took the masks off. The guy doesn't know that. He should have been like this.
He has no idea.
My name is Brian O'Connor.
I know, yeah.
My name is Rome. My name is Tej.
Han here.
I'm Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. He don't know them from somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been funny if they took off the mask and he was still staring at like.
I don't know who you are.
Am I supposed to know you guys?
Yeah.
I know.
How was he supposed to know?
I saw you guys on TV, right?
Is that why? Because they were on TV.
You guys famous?
Yeah.
What if he doesn't watch TV? What if he's a reader?
How is he supposed to know?
They're not allowed to watch TV in the drug house.
Yeah.
No,
there's no just TV in drug houses.
You come in, you funderwear up, and then you do your job.
That's it.
And then you punch out.
That's it. So they don't steal it. They burn it. They let Reyes know that they're coming for the rest of the money. And so I think then it cuts to Hobbs' team. They got the car back together.
That guy is so proud of himself. Getting the car back. It's like he puts the key in ignition and it's just like.
Please.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
I did that. It's running on all 8 cylinders. It was like
I don't even know anything about cars, and I put this thing together all by myself. But it wasn't good enough because
it's so funny because he's just like, why isn't anybody else excited about this? I didn't have instructions. I didn't have tools, and I put the entire car back together.
And this is like a rare car.
This is like a rare car.
This is not like a Honda Civic.
Like, I didn't know. I have all these extra screws. I don't know. Like, it'll turn on. I don't know if it'll drive.
And Rock is like, all right, take your part again. No. But, no, he didn't. But he did say, all right, keep going. He's like, well, if we didn't find it after we put it all together, probably not going to find it, Dwayne. but The Rock takes 3 seconds.
I know.
The Rock takes 3 seconds. And he's like, what does he say about the
It's just like, it's a shame to put this piece of equipment in such a fine, like,
classic or something.
Rare classic.
Yeah.
And then he presses the eject button and like the screen comes out and it's just like, error. He's like, find the chip.
Yeah.
And they all look like, oh, we're idiots because they missed it. But.
This had nothing to do with the engine, and I've learned how to put together a
for nothing.
Didn't you see that radio sitting there before I put this back together?
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that part hurt a little bit to watch. That.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay. I would like.
So
maybe I'm just not a detective because I wouldn't have known anything when that screen said error. I was like, oh, well, we didn't plug it in right.
They would have cut back to me and Shanna still trying to put the first piece back together.
Yeah.
Hey, Hobbs, this isn't working out.
He's like,
yeah. Yeah.
Did somebody pass my underwear?
Yeah.
This isn't working.
Hobbs is a professional, so it makes sense.
That's why he's the boss.
Hobbs is he's the best.
He's the best.
He's the Fed's
Hobbs.
best. So
yep.
There's no stopping him.
No,
so it cuts back to Reyes's office, and he has the goon that was running the Thunderwear operation, and
the bad guesser. Yeah.
And
bad guesser.
Yeah.
Basically, he tells them, "Oh, he doesn't even get to tell them because Zazu comes in, and he's just like, it's the guys from the train."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has
And
no idea who they were.
And yeah, exactly. The guy's just like, I don't know. They introduce themselves, and I still don't know who they are. So Reyes is not having it, so he walks to his desk, and he's like, he's got all these paperweights on his desk, and he's just like, he's just selecting. He's just putting his hand on one. He's like, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And he has all these real sharp object ones. I was like, why wouldn't you use that? And he picks the round one.
You can grab like with your hand, like a kettlebell. Almost.
Yes, and
he
so
grabbed the most
swings
ergonomic one.
Yeah, he swings it at the goon. The goon ducks.
We both thought he ducked and missed the hit because he falls way too early.
So he does.
I thought he survived, and then he was dead on the floor. I was like, oh, he missed it. Oh, wait.
It's like the punch came this way, and he went the other way.
You guys need to go watch the part because it really, he swings and it's way too steep.
Yes.
It looks like he ducks.
So
It's like
parts.
you remember when you were
08.
little and you were getting spanked.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get spanked anymore, so like
Yeah.
you would preemptively be like, "Oh!"
Yes, it's that.
And your parents just like, "I didn't even hit you yet."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this.
That was what it was. But apparently, he put the thing back and there was paint on it.
Red paint.
So the guy knew what was happening, so he like slapped it.
He had a Ziploc bag of paint.
He's laying there with his eyes open, looking. Did he notice?
Podcasters, watch the video. It's worth it to see them.
Yes. Listen to this 5-hour podcast. And then
subscribe.
Clear your schedule.
And then go watch the video. So it's actually a 10-hour experience.
Of this podcast.
I don't even know. There's no timer on here. I don't know how far in we are. Anyway.
I don't know.
We're almost there, guys. We're almost done. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just keep talking.
So.
Some other stuff happens and then the movie ends.
Blah, blah, blah. The end.
All right. So he kills the guy with the paperweight and he tells Zazu, clean the houses under lock and key within an hour. And he kind of looks at the goon like, this could be you. Right? And then, so cut to a montage of Dom's guys. I'm going to just call them Dom's guys. His team is following all of the relocations of the money houses, right? Yeah. And at the very end, the last relocation, they're just like, "Oh,
this is one of my oh snap moments."
Yeah, oh snap! What happens?
I don't know if it was one of yours, but this is mine. They are locking it in the Policia station.
Station.
I
don't know if that's how you say it.
They are locking all the money in the police station. And I was like, oh, this is getting good.
Yeah. That was a good twist. That was a good twist.
And so